Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, T and I will tell you exactly who needs to ball out in order for the Falcons to get a dub this weekend. And I'll give you a little hint. It's not who you think.
And one of my favorites, Jeezy, is about to put on for the city at State Farm Arena tonight. But will the Hawks put on against the Celtics?
And last but not least, and for the culture, can girls and guys be roommates? I'll let T handle that one. It's ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to say thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we're free and available wherever you download your podcast. Wherever you download your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Today's episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by Bet Online. But T, the Falcons, the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields in the 30 points per game offense, prolific offense that's still taking L's. They are going to be playing in Mercedes-Benz on Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's going down. And we talked about how Dean Pease is going to have a very nice game plan. In other words, they're going to have to get to the back to the basic and start with stopping the run. Excuse me. That's going to be the thing right then. But I think the key for the Falcons as a whole, I think that we kind of have to start offensively as far as what person or what player needs to step up and ball out in order for the Falcons to get a win this weekend.
I really, really want to see it from Cordarrelle Patterson. When we think about some of the early success for the Falcons, it was really, really when they were running the ball effectively. And don't get me wrong, Jarvis, we saw some nice work by the running back by committee with Tyler Algier, Caleb Huntley, Avery Williams in CP.
That's the future right there. I'm cool with saying that. Yeah.
Right. There it is. There it is. But the present, the here and now is CP.
Right.
If the Falcons are in win now mentality and in a win now situation, which they are because they're fighting for their playoff lives, then we need a monster game like we saw in those first couple of weeks from CP.
Absolutely. And I think we might be on some synergy type stuff today because my guy is, every now and then I got to go back and go check out the film to kind of see what's going on, just take a little quick peek. And I took a peek this morning, T. You know who need to step up for the Falcons offensively in order for them to get that dub? Mr. Drew Dahlman, sir. Sir. Like a lot of people saying, oh yeah, he struggled against Derrick Brown. Everybody struggles against Derrick Brown. All the pacifists trying to, kind of be soft-spoken about what needs to happen in order for the Falcons to be able to run the football. No, it wasn't just against Derrick Brown. It was everybody else lined up in that spot over Drew Dahlman. So Drew Dahlman needs to step his game up because it is absolutely unacceptable for him not only to not be able to block guys lined up in front of you, but to be able to get to that second level as a center when you're not covered. When you're not covered, there is no excuse for you to not touch that linebacker that is right there in your sight line when you're talking about that outside zone scheme. And it just happened from time and time again. Each and every play. And I'm like, dude, you got to do something. If you can't do anything, if Drew Dahlman can step up and he needs some help, how about this? Honestly, T, and you see, I'm stumbling because I'm getting a little fired up this morning. I think the main thing is that kind of sucks is that you don't have that replacement in Matt Hennessy, right? So he has to step up in order for the Falcons to have any type of success against Chicago. I don't care what type of defense Chicago Bears are playing right now. It doesn't matter if you can't block the person in front of you, or you can't get up to that next level when you're not covered. And you're playing against teams that don't run that odd front. You're in for a long day, and CP is not going to be able to do anything. But yeah, my guy has to be Drew Dahlman. But T, also I'm going to the flip side now. Now we found out that AJ Terrell, Arthur Smith said today that AJ Terrell is back at practice, and another guy, Jalen Mayfield, has been activated off of the short-term injury list, and that starts that 21-day clock in order for him to be on the active roster. So we shall see if Jalen's going to be active this Sunday against the Chicago Bears. But defensively, I think the thing is we talked about getting back to the basics as far as run fits and Lorenzo Carter. Like, where's your soul? Like, what are you? Are you a football player? Are you not? Like, are you a pass rusher? Like, who are you? I think they need to understand who needs to step up, but who is the guy for you, though, that needs to step up in order for the Falcons to get this dub this weekend?
Yeah, I'd like to see the Taquan Graham that we had seen a couple of weeks back. And don't get me wrong, I think he's been solid the last week or two, but I want to go back to the guy. I would say, Jarvis, between games about 3 and 6. I think that's where he really started solidifying himself as TQ, the guy who can really be disruptive and give Grady Jarrett a 1-2 punch, because you already know, Jarvis, not just this year, but last year and in years past, whenever Grady is able to be at his great, like the great Grady, it's typically because somebody else there is giving that guy some assistance. So if TQ can just give, and I'm not talking about a lot, Jarvis, I'm talking about maybe a little 5 degree here and there, making sure you get your tackles. If a ball comes your way, darn it, catch the ball and keep the ball, or do whatever it is that you have to do. If you force the fumble, I don't really care what it is, but just a little bit of an extra, that TQ we saw a couple weeks ago. And I think that the Falcons will be in very good shape to be able to shut down or at least contain the run game from the Bears, and maybe particularly from Justin Fields. I don't know if you really call it a run game, because Herbert is not there. So maybe you just call it Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's JF or nobody else. So definitely going to go with that. And I'm right on board with you. It starts up front. And I named my guy before you said take on Graham, Lorenzo Carter. Like, I need to know who you are, sir. And I got a pretty good idea of who you are, but at least, pretend to the other folks this Sunday, because Lord knows Dean Pease is going to need your help with the explosive running game coming into town on Sunday. Now, speaking of turmoil and coming into town and getting help, Georgia Tech, they need help, because we just found out from Brent Key, interim head coach Brent Key, probably going to that title's not going to be removed, I don't believe. Just kind of reading between the tea leaves. They're going to be without Jeff Sims and Zach Power, for the foreseeable future. Now, a lot of people saying, well, I don't remember Jeff Sims, having a season-ending injury. You are correct. He did not have a season-ending injury, and I'll read a quote, T, to kind of put it in perspective, and I want to kind of get your thoughts when you think about, Coach Key talked about how, he's been medically cleared, but and Key said he talked to the doctors and he's talked to the medical staff and talked to Jeff Sims as well, and he said that they came to the conclusion that he's just gonna rehab and he don't got to come to practice anymore. I don't know about you, but coming from a college football locker room, it's something a little weird about that one. I'll let you chime in.
Yeah, especially because that announcement came exactly 3 weeks from when the portal will open, the transfer portal. Just saying. Yes. Woo. So I think there's a little smoke, and we're going to see some fire there in a couple of weeks. And I think it's interesting, too, because you think about some of the players, say, for example, for Georgia, like a Nolan Smith. He continues to travel with the team. He's done for the season.
Right. Yeah. Like done. He on the sidelines out here jumping folks off and everything with some jumper cables. Like, hey, let's go, man. Let's get going.
Right. And yet he's still that guy who's traveling with them, who's being sort of like a mentor that everyone has said he was. But Jeff Sims, you're just sitting on campus for the next 3 weeks. That's really interesting. Not even traveling with the team as they hit the road this weekend to go to North Carolina. I just find that to be very interesting. I think that he's going to be one of the guys that parts ways. And the interesting thing is, and I heard a couple of the pundits who are, very close to college football and recruitment and that sort of thing, that there is some interest out there for him. So maybe this is the kind of thing, because we knew we saw what Jeff Sims was made of prior to the injury back on October 20th when they played Virginia, right? So that guy is going to be just fine, but I do believe that his days are more than over right there between the hedges.
Yeah, he is definitely has worn that Georgia Tech uniform for the last time, because I got hurt during when I played college football, and being a scholarship athlete, it is your duty to be showing your face. If not, just to show improve you still want to be a part of this team, but just from a camaraderie standpoint, just knowing that, hey, man, I know Jarvis is doing exactly what he needs to be doing in rehab. He's out here. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And whenever he comes back, man, you're going to be ready to go, because Lord knows, I went to a Division II school, and, I was pretty settled in my starting position. You know what I mean? But this is the Power 5 schools, and you talking about I'm good on doing anything in regards to team functions. Come on, T. There ain't no read between tea leaves. This dude is out. He's out the door. And like I said, and there's going to be plenty of suitors, I believe. I'm not going to say he's going to be banging down his door and bags of money and all that stuff, but he's going to have some options, because we know the talent is there. It's just he hasn't been surrounded by it. And I believe that 3 years, it's time for you to go and get up out of there, because Georgia Tech just couldn't get it right. Now, speaking of not getting it right, T, if you haven't been losing money, I know you haven't specifically, but if you guys out there, ATL Day One's listeners, got a public service announcement. If you're trying to figure out how to win some money, trying to figure out what you're going to do on Sunday when the Falcons take on the Chicago Bears, go to betonline.net, because it is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Speaking of odds, how about this? The over-under is 50 points for the Falcons-Bears game. Wow. You see that look that T just made? She's not even the camera. She understands, like, man, I might be able to make me some money this weekend. So guess what you need to do? Go to BetOnline. It is the top online source for all your sports wagering information for live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have got you covered. You guys come for us each and every day for ATL Sports, all ATL Sports, anything, all the above. So guess what? For all your gambling needs, for all your sports wagering information, go to BetOnline. They have podcasts there waiting just for you. Now, head to BetOnline today, or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today, because BetOnline is where the game starts.
Speaking of a game starting, 7:30 tonight at State Farm Arena is going down with the Hawks taking on the Celtics, actually for the first time this season. And, Jarvis, to me, being that they are the team with the best record in the NBA, and some will say even playing the best in the NBA, I think this is the perfect time for the Hawks to be tested, because guess what? Clint Capella, Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter had arguably their best games individually and then collectively of the season when they beat the Bucks on Monday. So I'm excited about the possibilities of what could happen tonight. Let's take Trae, for example. Let's start with him first, right? 21 points, shot 40% from three, and he had 9 assists against the Bucks. So I'm looking and going, I think Ice might be back. I think we got this eye contusion thing in check.
Yeah, absolutely, because when you think about, he's the guy that stirs the drink, right, when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks. I know a lot of people may want to make a case for DeJounte Murray. I get him and all that, yeah. But Trae's that dude. He's the guy that needs to get it going. And the thing about it is, what kind of tells you some different things about this team and how it's built differently, and Hawks fans should be very excited about this. While he was shooting terribly, still 9-5 and third in the Eastern Conference. So, like, all right, okay, we let Trae figure it out. Yeah, figure it out, Trae. We're still getting these dubs. So that's the thing that kind of makes me feel good about it. And coming into the game against the Boston Celtics, this is going to be something that is going to be kind of like be a little litmus test. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about how big that Raptors game is and how am I on that game. This is going to be a big one too. These are two games that I think we're going to get a pretty good idea of how the Hawks are gonna go. You know, I know the 20 games is the solid number that everybody kind of throws out as to who you are as a team, but I think certain matchups are definitely indicators as to where this team is in 2022 and 2023 season.
Yeah, and what a great point you just made, because we all had said around that 20 game mark is where we were going to really start to see and evaluate if they are where we think they are. I think, Jarvis, they're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit, because they showed us that in game 14 on Monday. So again, I think that's something to be very encouraged about. And the other piece you mentioned is this. Now, Trae shot 40% from three on Monday, but we know that not only has Trae had struggles from the three-point line, but the team has had struggles from three as well. However, one area where they have not is points in the paint. They are getting to the rim. They are being aggressive. And a lot of that starts and stops, just like the 36 points they had in the paint first half Monday. That's with Clint Capella. So if that three ball isn't going, and I'm looking at what CC is doing and even Double O and company, I think that they're in prime position, that front court, to really show what they're made of against the likes of Grant Williams and Al Horford.
And then when you think about it too, like, because Trae Young is in the tops in the league, in the top 5 in the league as far as free throw attempts, and that kind of speaks to what you just talked about, right? Getting into the paint and getting to the free throw line, because if the referees are going to call the foul, I'm not sitting up here saying all of them are legit on Trae Young, but if they're going to call it, well, dog it, you need to take advantage, and I absolutely love that, because when you think about Trae be able to get into the lane and the pick and roll that we've seen with Clint Capella, that seems to be back and in full effect. So I think those are some of the things that kind of gets you excited as far as how this team and its makeup, because even though Trae has been struggling, he's still been effective. And getting to that free throw line, that absolutely adds to the pot as far as what this team is going to look like tonight against the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, and I still feel like as soon as they get their rhythm, this is a team that's committed to defense, right? And I feel like as soon as they begin to get that rhythm and then they get Bogdanovich back, you're going to see those numbers change up a little bit. And I think, too, this is a team that we always wanted, like, how many times was it like scratching, lay your fingers down the chalkboard when they would just heave up a three last year? I mean, it was absolutely agitating. This year, they're at least being more careful and more calculated about when they are going to shoot from deep. So I'm perfectly okay with how this is going. And then this is the other piece. Not that you want to flip everything around all the time, but if we got to flip something around, I like these numbers. Yes, your offensive efficiency rating might be 18th, kind of middle of the road. And they were, of course, always number one last year in offensive efficiency rating. However, that defensive efficiency rating has continued to climb. They are now in the top third of the league. So I will take that, because I do believe this team, if it commits to defensive efficiency, their offense is going to catch up. And why do I think that? Because we see things like we saw out of DeAndre Hunter. We know this guy can give us two-way play all day, every day, and we hope we're going to get it. But even if we don't, I like the fact that you can go here, there to any one of those players and get it from either end of the court on any given night. So tonight's a little interesting, because you know that he is probably going to have to put a body on Jason Tatum, right? And Jason Tatum has been playing lights out, but which Dre, if you didn't get him two-way, do you want scoring Dre with 24 points and 3 rebounds, or do you want Jason Tatum stopping Dre, who will get like 5, 7, 8 rebounds, a couple steals, some assists in there? Which Dre do you think is going to be more effective? What the Hawks need to do tonight?
That's a good question, because when you think about, like, a lot of times it's very hard to stop superstars in the NBA, right? But the thing that can help slow them down is making them play defense. So if I can get scoring Dre with a solid defensive Dre, as far as getting involved in making steals and all that stuff, and getting involved, because whoever is guarding DeAndre Hunter, whether that be Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, like, that's the benefit of having wings, because Lord, the more wings you have in today's game, the better. And I think that wherever Dre makes Jason Tatum play defense and make him work on defensively, I think that's going to be the Dre that I want, because we all know how it goes down in the NBA. Most of the time, guys gonna get buckets. They're gonna get their buckets, and Jason Tatum is gonna get buckets. And but I think that what help kind of slight that up a little bit is the fact that you're making them work on the defensive side of the court, and I think that the Hawks can do that. They have the lineup to do that this year, and I think that that's going to be the difference in the outcome of the game tonight.
Yeah, especially if you get down to the fourth quarter and you've had them running all up and down the court, running after you. And it's funny you mentioned that, because Coach Nate, of course, was with our friends Andy and Randy yesterday, and he said that very thing, like, look, I want us to get after defensively, but I also want to make that other team work, because we're doing what we're supposed to do offensively, and they have to come for us. And then the other thing that you just said that I thought was interesting, and it made me think of DeJounte Murray. He's like, I'm going to say, a half a wing, right? Because he plays the two, but the dude has a wingspan of like 6'10". So
no doubt, yeah.
When you got a wingspan like that, you could obviously guard Jaylen Brown, but if you need to kind of swing over and give a little bit of support for DeAndre Hunter as far as Jason Tatum goes, you can do that. And of course, he's like the steals king, with like, he's number 2 in the league in steals. So be very, very careful. The Celtics, the one Achilles heel of theirs is that darn ball handling. So that's what I like about DeJounte Murray, because we're like, oh, okay, you guys having a little trouble with your ball handling? We got somebody who likes to pickpocket. So that might just work out. But in the general scheme of things, I think the other piece there is this. You mentioned it. This is a quick 2-game homestand. Celtics tonight, Raptors Saturday, and Raptors might be our 1A. I think we agreed yesterday. Celtics are 1B as far as which game is more important, but twist that question ever so slightly. And my thought is this: what does a win mean against the Celtics for the Hawks? What does it mean if they take the L tonight?
To be honest with you, I think we can have our answer on both results, because like what I expect the Hawks to do is come out and play like they did against the Milwaukee Bucks. If they play against they can play like they played against the Milwaukee Bucks and still lose. That's a possibility, big time. Because when you think about Milwaukee, with the roster, and Drew Holiday being out and not having one of their superstars, so to speak, I think that you can understand the dynamics of the game and how it can play out that way. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for them to play team basketball. How they play is not necessarily all about the end result with me. It's all about how they play, because we know they look terrible against the Toronto Raptors. Those guys, everybody was out there hooping, and I just don't want to. As long as I don't see that, I think I'll be fine either way, win or lose. Obviously, I want them to get dubbed, but I'm looking for a good team basketball, and I think that'll tell me exactly what I need to know about this Atlanta Hawks team early on in the season.
Agreed. And JC, John Collins, will need you to kind of step up. We saw a good game. I thought it was a good, well-rounded game against the Bucks as well. And one more area where we need folks to step up is the bench, because the Celtics have one of the deepest benches in all of the NBA, but the Hawks have a solid bench as well. All they need to do, from Jalen Johnson on through to AJ Griffin and all points in between, is everybody just needs to show up and do their part. And then, you know what, Jarvis, if they can do that, I am confident and I feel good about what the Hawks can do, as long as they're right there with them in the fourth quarter. If they're not outright leading, be right there with the Celtics in the fourth quarter. Now, listen, we told you guys this is a big game. I think it's a big game for the Celtics too, because they're going to continue to be tested by how deep the Eastern Conference is. But if you want to hear about this game or any big game in the association, of course, after you hear us talk about it here on ATL Day Ones, check out Locked On Sports Today, because they will hit you with the news of the biggest games of the day. So they'll give you their instant reaction to it. They'll talk about the implications of who won and who lost. You can get it all there. And listen, you guys love For the Culture. We know you're going to love the segment today, especially, but they have their own segment, their own version called Take of the Day. So check that out as well. And listen, you guys check us out on your Odyssey app. You check us out at YouTube, and you check us out wherever you download your podcast. Do the same. You do not want to miss out on Locked On Sports Today. Hey, every now and again, you might see one of these familiar faces like Jarvis's show up over there giving some instant reaction as well. So check them out, Locked On Sports Today.
And Locked On Sports Atlanta family. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all see how I changed my voice? That means I'm about to say something very important. We are almost at 5,000 subscribers. We are now at 4,900 subscribers on YouTube. Not even 8 months in. And I think A to Z with Mark Zeno, he talked about it as well. And I think he came up with a good idea. If we get to 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to do something silly. I know, like, oh, Jarvis, you always do something silly. But I'm going to do something intentionally silly whenever we get to 5,000 subscribers. So if you wanted to see me do something silly, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because if you have not hit that subscribe button, why? Stop being lame. Go and join the cool kids, please. Hit the subscribe button. But T, this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes what the hell we want to talk about. Just how we get down on this show. Today is no different, obviously. Kind of talked about it at the top of the show. I mentioned it, teased it. I want to use the industry term there. I'm just going to go ahead and ask the question. Can doggone boys and girls, men or women, be roommates, T? Please.
Absolutely. So this conversation came up, right, with one of our friends to the show, one Hugh Douglas, who emphatically disagrees with the fact that women and men can be roommates.
Shocking.
Right, exactly. I'm like, how about it too? Of course he said that. 12-year-old, 8th grade Hugh response was that they cannot. The mature person in the room said, of course they can. Because I've been in that situation before, right? So I'll give you a quick synopsis. Friend of mine, well, actually it wasn't a friend of mine, it was a friend of my cousin's. Okay. I was living in Jersey, and I'm like, hey, I know you. He's like, hey, I know you. So we exchange information. We go out on a date, and we were like, yeah, no, this ain't working.
Yeah.
But he was looking to get into a new industry and kind of sell off his house, and I was looking to do some savings and get into a new industry myself. So we're like, that we can be roommates, right?
Okay.
He'll live upstairs, I'll live downstairs. It's all good. Now, of course, you got to be careful, because you can't be in the house, all free with your birthday suit and stuff like that. Because
you got to
just
be sensible about it. Yeah, I can't walk around naked.
Right. You have to be intentional to make sure situations like that don't happen. Trust and believe. Indeed. But hey, look, I ended up dating one of his really good friends, and it was all good. And that roommate, he and I are good friends to this day, and know people. Not one thing ever happened. It's possible. Just use some restraint.
Well, I mean, let me kind of say a little, speak my piece. I understand where you're coming from, because I somewhat agree, but because it takes a special type of individual to do what you just did, what you did and what you just said. I think that, you're a special individual, and a lot of people aren't built like Tenitra, and a lot of people aren't built like the brother that you were roommates with, and because compromising situations happen, T, and I'm trying to talk around this so I won't get myself in trouble, but that's just how it is, because regardless of if y'all feel like the vibe wasn't there, the chemistry wasn't there, the energy, or how the young folks talk nowadays, the energy wasn't there, it was off. When you at the house, it's 11:30. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't got nowhere to go. It's the weekend. You not gonna hear that shower going, and doggone. I'm not putting you in this situation, and you messing around for some strange reason. You ain't even naked. You just come out, just got your little, pajamas on, and dude gonna have a thought. And,
and not saying
it could happen. It could happen.
It happened. That's exactly what I'm saying. And we still did nothing went down. I literally thought I was
home by myself. Take yourself out of it, because you're different. You're different, T. Yes, you are.
One day and went to the shower in the birthday suit and was like, oh, dear God.
No.
Now, I'm not saying bro didn't look for more than 2.5 seconds.
Right, exactly, of course. Come on now. He had a thought.
But cooler, mature heads got to prevail. That's all I'm saying. Mature folks.
But I'm saying y'all foundations are different than a lot of other people, because guess what? If you would have walked out anywhere, and I'm not going to put myself in a situation because I'm a married man. I ain't trying to get myself in trouble. But I know all of my homeboys would have been like, ma'am,
Yep.
I'm excited, and
Yep.
and I'm. Please forgive me because I just dropped my pants and I'm naked too. Like, I don't want you to be by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Make
somebody
choices.
gonna come up with something silly. Just
Yep.
say,
Yep. Make choices. That's all I can say, people. Just make good choices. That's why he's still my friend 20 years later.
compromising situations are real.
Good choices.
Oh.
And listen, it's not to say, we didn't have some conversation here and there about things, but all I'm saying is this. You literally say to yourself, okay, yes, you're attractive. He's a very attractive man. Yes, he, says, yeah, you're attractive. But the bottom line is we are friends. And we came here for a business transaction. The end.
The other thing could be a transaction too, T. I'm telling you. It could be
that
a
ain't
business
business.
transaction.
Well, actually, it could be business, but
yes,
most of the time it's not business.
Yes, it could.
Yeah. On another note, we will end this because it's just rabbit hole-ish. It's like right there at the edge of rabbit hole. So really quickly, I'm so excited because you guys know I love Jeezy, and so does Jarvis.
Oh, yeah.
So Jarvis, instead of asking
Snowman.
the obvious question, I would ask the question of, if I come back here tomorrow and I tell you about that Jeezy performance, because I'll be covering the game tonight. If he does not perform one song, what's one song you're gonna be like, I cannot believe Jeezy didn't do that?
I went from old school Chevys to drop top Porsches. You couldn't walk a mile off in my Air Forces.
Ooh,
that one, when that beat drop, oh my gosh. So yeah. Jeezy, go ahead and doggone drop that for your boy, please. Thank you.
Do your thing. Do your thing. Just like we're going to do our thing tomorrow. We're hoping that we can bring you guys some conversation about the Hawks and Celtics and a win from the Hawks. And of course, we're going to talk more Falcons as we get closer and closer to Falcons Bears. And we might just bring you guys a special guest and download on something special tomorrow. If you want to know, got to come back.
Y'all come back now, you.